Welcome to On the Beat, your weekly preview of the weekend's racing. I'm Dave from Dream Thoroughbreds, and with me is Lenny from Bluegrass Bloodstock. How are you, Lenny?
Very good, Dave.
Congratulations, mate, on the birth of your baby girl last week, Isabella.
Yes.
And we're coming to you this week from the offices of Bluegrass Bloodstock, because Lenny's on babysitting duties already this week. The missus knows where to put him. Okay, what an action-packed week we had last week. We had fantastic derby with It's a Done Deal, just braining him.
Amazing win.
Yeah, and Black Caviar again, 25 from 25, and we heard the news yesterday she's retired.
And the little whisper going around that she'll be going to Piero.
Yeah, that is the mail, so I believe you can get $17, the Piero being the sire going to Black Caviar first up, so you might be able to get on for a little bit. But she deserves it. Yeah, Taylor deserves it. I think it's a great decision. Hate to have seen her ever get beat, and I think exactly. The legend needs to live on with what she's done to date.
That's right.
This week, the feature races are back at Royal Randwick, and the big race of the day is the $2 million Group 1 Doncaster Handicap over 1600. And what a fantastic race this is going to be, Lenny. What do you like?
It's an awesome race every year. Dave, the best horse in the race is Piero.
Yep.
He's unbeaten in Sydney, but I don't think it's as cut and dry as it looks on paper.
No.
For him, he's got his fair share of weight for being a 3-year-old.
Yep.
I think the biggest query is the jockey, and I've been saying it for a little while now. I think National Will's become a little bit of a liability in these big Group 1s.
Yep. And
at the short quote of about 6 to 4, I'd probably be sitting on the fence, and I still think he'll win.
Yep.
But I would be backing a horse like Appearance at each way odds of 12 to 1.
Yeah.
I think she has been on fire. She's unbeaten at the mile.
Yeah.
She goes really good at the track. She's drawn okay, and any rain about, she loves it. And she's only got 53.5 on her back. So, but yeah, for mine at the 12s, that's yeah.
Yeah, she's in great form. She's a big chance. I'm leaning the same way actually. The favourite, obviously Piero, drawn a great barrier, should get a good run behind the speed. But I'm extremely worried about the 57 kilos in an open handicap. Man, he's only a 3-year-old, and I think he's very much up against it. I think the last 100 metres is really going to be the test for him, and Nash has lost his nerve a little bit of late. But, you know, technically he's on the best horse, but I'm going for a bit of value as well. I'm actually going for Red Tracer here at $26 fixed odds. She's run 2 mighty big races the last 2 starts in Group 1 mares races. She's been beaten by Appearance. They both have the same weight on Saturday. She has drawn the outside barrier, so I expect that's why you're getting very good odds. But I expect the track to be slightly rain affected on Saturday, which will really help her. And I'm banking on the fact that Randwick last week they were sweeping a little bit towards the end, and I'm banking on the fact that the later in the day it'll be an advantage to be out wide. My only reservation is I've always doubted her at the mile, but I'll take the risk at the $26 and go each way on her. I really think you should box up in the Quinellas and tries with Appearance, who's obviously in form. Norzita, who comes into this race really well. The back to the mile is really going to suit her, especially Randwick. And I actually think Streamer will go really well in this race as well. And she drops down to a weight now that brings her in line with all the other fillies. So the fillies and mares are the ones I'm banking around. Box them all up, and I think you might get a big result. So good luck with that. Now the next Group 1 is the $500,000 Australian Oaks for 3-year-old fillies over 2,400 metres, and another really good race here, then.
Yeah, it is. It is. For mine, it's hard to see how much speed. You're thinking Longport will probably go for She's a Girl. For mine, I really like the run of Habibi last week.
Yep.
Come off the bit a long way out over the 2,000, but I think you'll see a different horse here over the 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
It beat the boys in the Derby back in New Zealand. Ran third in the Group 1 last go in Australia, so you know she's put the form on the board.
Yeah.
And I think the 1.5 miles and a little bit of sting out of the track. I just think she probably, if there's not the speed in the race and they walk, she probably hasn't got the turn of foot. So you just want them to go along a little bit for mine.
Yeah, She probably needed that run last start as well, so she was running on really well. I really fancy Longport in this race. She's a very underrated filly, I think. She's extremely tough, has raced really well at Randwick in the past, and was only touched off by Norzita last start, and was very strong to the line. Even though Norzita touched her off, she was still fighting on. I expected a race on the pace and get a very soft time of it for the first 1200 metres. They don't really go that hard in these Oaks races because the 3-year-old fillies, they're a bit wary about getting the distance, so they do tend to jog very early. I think she'll kick a long way from home, and she's the type of filly that needs to sort of kick and put the pressure on at the top of the straight, because she's not the typical sit and sprint type either. So I really like her at $6 fixed odds, and I think she's a bet to nothing each way. Her danger is Habibi, but might find it hard to run her down if they go slow really early, and but I think she looks the Cronulla horse. So I'd sort of have my form around those two. Stable news, Lenny. You got any stable news for the week?
Well, nothing's running at the moment, Dave, but I've got a Chinese dragon gelding that's with Murray Baker in New Zealand, and he just had a little jump out the other day, and from all reports surprised him for such a big horse. So yeah, he's pretty hopeful that he's going to make the grade.
He's going to start soon, or?
He'll probably have another trial and then go out and come back as a 3-year-old, staying 3-year-old.
Okay.
And looking forward to going out to Flemington on Saturday with you and seeing Flemington, Flemington. Our Gonski filly.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing how she's matured.
Yeah, she's arrived in the Flemington stables for preparation. So Lenny and I are just going to pop out there Saturday morning just to see her. On the May the 19th, Sunday the May 19th, jot this down, we're going to have our annual yearling parade at the Flemington stables of Anthony Friedman. We'll parade the Gonski filly that day as well. And I think Fruling will be back in the stable then, and the other yearlings. So yeah, jot that down. I'll have a lot more details for you next week on the bit, which will be our last on the bit for the Autumn Carnival next weekend. Okay, Lenny, your best on breeding for the weekend.
I reckon I've done this one before, Dave, but we'll give,
as long as it wins again, mate.
Give another poke, and it did win last time.
Yeah.
And that's race 6, number 4, Hoylani.
Yep.
Was purchased for 380k from the 2010 sales by the champion sire in Longrow. He's had over 32 stakes winners. We do like the Longrows, out of the high class juvenile and Rodine. This is a family of former good stay-up, prime address, listed winner. Minnesota Shark is bred on exactly the same Longrow Flying Spur cross. Yeah, so Hoylani for me.
Bit of value too, I think, isn't she?
Yeah, about $5.
Yep.
Jimmy Cassidy.
My value bet is Randwick Race 5, number 2, Bound to Blush. I've got a lot of time for this 4-year-old strategic mare. She is very fast and a multiple stakes placed mare, and will drive across the, she's drawn barrier 9A, but will drive across the field to lead or just sit off the pace outside the leader. She's 3 kilos off and gets in at the 56.5 kilos. She's had 2 trials in prep for this race, and she's 3 from 3 first up, so her first up run generally is her best. She's trained at Randwick and will be right in the finish here, right into the shadows of the post. She's $7.50 fixed odds. If you get anything around that or even better, she's great value each way in a benchmark 85 race, which is relatively even race on Saturday. So I'm on Bound to Blush, race 5, number 2. On the bit, Lenny, who's on the bit for this weekend?
Race 7, number 7 at Caulfield, Dave, Club Command. As you know, he resumed in fine style behind Ready to Rip a run, and then went to the Valley over 1200 when maybe probably should have gone to the 1400. Got back, and yeah, it was a bad ride. Copped a massive check on the point of the turn, got sort of sent sideways, got unbalanced, and still worked home to finish 4th or 5th in the race, only beaten about 3.5. Gets back to Caulfield now, where he's 2 from 2 at the track and distance. Loves a little bit of sting out. I don't know if we've just got a little bit of moisture about, that'll help him, and he's drawn well, and I think he'll either lead or sit second, and I think you get on now at the 270, he's on the bit for mine. Yeah, he actually ran on in that Moonee Valley track was very leader biased that day, so it was a very good run. Caulfield will suit. I'm going for Caulfield as well, race 5, number 1, Elite L.
I just think this filly is a very serious horse and played with her rivals last start. She gets a 3 kilo allowance for Thomas Sadler, which brings her weight down to 57.5. This brings her in at only 3.5 above the limit, and she's more than 6 to 15 rating points above her rivals. From barrier 2, she'll sit right on the pace, and with the rain that we've had in Melbourne today, the track will be a little bit of a sting out of the ground. Suits her right down to the ground. I even like her even more. She'll be too smart for her rivals over the last bit of this race. She's $2.50 fixed odds, but she's the best bet of the weekend on the bit, Elite L. Off the bit, Lenny. Who's off the bit this weekend?
I reckon I may have made this horse on the bit or a best on breeding at some stage. It's race 7, number 1 in the Oaks Q Demi Day.
Yep.
She resumed, and her second up run were fantastic this preparation, but she seems to have just tapered off.
Yeah.
The last 2 runs have been pretty disappointing. She got back last start, missed the kick, but she only worked home fairly to the line, still got beaten about 6 lengths. There are a few horses like Habibi and that were in front of her, Longport. I think they've got her measure at the set weights. You want to see her going better to be backing her at a $5 quote, you know, for a win bet. So yeah, she's off the bit for mine.
Yeah, she's got class will carry her a long way, but I don't think she can win it either. I'm off the bit with Caulfield Race 1, number 1, Dalton this week. This is a 2-year-old race. It's a fairly strong 2-year-old race for this time of year. There's a couple of well-bred first starters in the race from really good stables, and some really up-and-coming 2-year-olds that have won in their first start or second start. He's come up $3.50 favourite for mine, top weight. I'll lay him at $3.50 favourite, so he's off the bit for mine. So if you're interested, get out to Caulfield this weekend, because Black Caviar will be paraded for the last time, and it'll be a great opportunity for everyone to see her. So we might be out there this weekend. Lenny might get a chance to get out there if he gets away from babysitting duties.
Babysitting, yeah.
So good luck with the punt, and we'll see you next week.
Best of luck, guys. Cheers.
See ya.